Take full responsibility for what happens to you. It's one of the highest forms of human maturity, accepting full responsibility. It's the day you know you've passed from childhood to adulthood, the day you accept full responsibility. In another note, learn to reap in the fall without apology. Without apology if you do well, and without complaint if you don't. That's maturity. You must take personal responsibility. You cannot change the circumstances, the seasons, or the wind, but you can change yourself. That is something you have charge of. All good men and women must take responsibility to create legacies that will take the next generation to a level we could only imagine. I used to have that long list of reasons why I wasn't doing well to explain. You've got to explain right, otherwise you're going to look bad. I used to have this funny list called reasons for not looking good. I used to blame the government. I mean, you can believe that or not, it was at the top of my list. I had a lecture second to none, the government. That was on the list. I used to blame taxes. Look what you got left after they take everything and they expect you to do well. That was on my list. Their prices, that one's easy, right? You walk into the supermarket with $20, come out with a little half bag. I had that on the list. I used to blame the weather. I blamed the traffic. I used to blame my car. I blamed the manufacturers. I used to blame the company. I blamed company policy. I used to blame the training program. I blamed my negative relatives. They were always putting me down. I blamed my cynical neighbors. They're just selfish, looking out for themselves, won't loan you money. They were on the list. I used to blame the economy. I blamed the community. That's a pretty good list for not doing well, isn't it? I thought it was good. I'll never forget one day Mr. Shoaf. He's very kind, but he was also very blunt, and this was no exception. And I'm glad he was blunt. There's a lot of things I'd have missed if he hadn't have been blunt. One day, with sort of a curious look on his face, he said, "Jim, just out of curiosity, tell me, how come you haven't done well up until now?" Excellent question, I thought. Well, so I won't look too bad, I'll go through my list. And this list I just gave you, I put that on him. And he was very patient. He let me go through the whole thing, the government, the weather. I went through this whole thing. When I finished, he looked my lists over very carefully. He said, "Mr. Owen, big problem with your list. You ain't on it." When I went to work for him a few months later, I learned very quickly to tear up my list, reasons for not doing well. And I threw it away and I got me a fresh piece of paper and I put one word on it, me. There's a Black heritage spiritual that says, "It's not my mother, nor my father, nor my brother, nor my sister, but it's me, O Lord, standing in the need of prayer." See, I used to blame everything outside, and then let me give you a little philosophy that helped turn my life around. For your notes, here it is. It's not what happens that determines the quality or the quantity of your life. It's not what happens. And the reason is because what happens to about everybody, no different. The sun went down on all of us last night, a common event, a happening. And I found out that the same things can happen to two different people. One gets rich and one stays poor. Why is that? It's because it's not what happens, but rather it's what you do that changes everything. So that's a key phrase. It's not what happens, it's what you do. What happens is about the same. You might put that in, for instance, here. Same what people do. That's what's different. Anything can happen, right? Everything can happen. I've heard all the stories. I've been one of the stories. Hey, we could all tell stories all night long, right? Happenings. Anything can happen. Have you heard of Murphy's Laws? Anybody here heard of Murphy's Laws? Okay, most of you have. Murph had these laws. One of them was, if anything can go wrong, it will. That's one of Murphy's Laws. He was not one of the great positive speakers of the day, but anyway, it's still true though, right? Anything can go wrong, everything can go wrong for sure. I've fallen out of the sky so many times. once to the tune of a couple of million, devastating. Took me a while to survive that one. Now, it wasn't all that much, but it was all I had. I mean, that's when it's much, right? When that's all you got. If you got 3 to go, you got 1 left, you ain't looking that bad. But when it all goes, has anybody been there? When it all went? Anybody? Come on, rest you liars. Hey, we've all been there, right? When it all went, of course, used to be a long time ago, right? When you ran out of money, got to 0, you were all through. Hick. Now, you can whistle right on by 0, they will bury you, that's what they will do. Let's see, those are the happenings, right? Everything can happen, anything can happen. But it's not the happenings, it's what you do about it. Somebody says, yeah, but you don't understand the disappointments I've had. Come on, everybody's had their share. Disappointments are not special gifts reserved for the poor. Everybody has them. The difference is what you do about it. It's not the weather. I used to blame the weather, and I discovered it rains on the rich. So see, that won't help. 2 men wake up one morning to a rainstorm. One of them gazes out his window, observing the downpour, and remarks, "Wow, what a storm. With weather like this, they can't expect you to go out and make sales." He opts to stay home. Meanwhile, the other man, also witnessing the storm, exclaims, "Wow, what a storm." However, he adds, "You know what? With weather like this, what a great day to go out and make sales." Most everybody will probably be wrong, especially the salesman. This illustrates the difference in how one's life unfolds. It's not about what happens, but rather what you choose to do about it. So, here's a crucial question. Starting tomorrow, what actions will you take to steer your life in a new direction? If you don't initiate change, tomorrow will likely mirror today, and the next 5 years will resemble the last 5. It's a matter of choice. You have the power to transform your life at any moment. What steps will you take starting tomorrow to bring about change? This question applies even in the face of economic turmoil, significant disappointments, or a broken heart. And it prompts another important consideration. What adjustments can you make to improve your circumstances? My personal advice to you is this: dig deep within yourself and unearth those extraordinary human gifts that lie dormant within you. Then, take charge and make the changes you desire. You have the ability to reshape your reality. You're not bound to remain the same. It's your choice. If you're dissatisfied with your current situation, take action to alter it. Remember, you're not rooted in place like a tree. Shelf taught me an invaluable lesson. Study. If you want success, study success. If you want happiness, study happiness. If you want wealth, study wealth. Don't leave your life to chance. Make learning a deliberate practice. Today, you've still got a big chance to make your dreams real and become exactly who you want, no matter where you start. That's why it's important to grab every opportunity. But watch out. Sometimes the important stuff gets hidden under all the flashy things. The real treasures can get lost among all the plastic and shiny stuff, making what you have less important than who you are. Let me be more specific about exactly what's involved in becoming a responsible person. Firstly, it means accepting the consequences of your actions. But I'll go even further than that. Responsibility means looking to yourself as the source of everything that happens to you. It means assuming command, regardless of the hardships you may have faced early in life, the prejudice you may have encountered, or the people who may have failed to understand you. Do you detect a note of irony in my voice? Or perhaps a note of sarcasm? Do I sound hard-hearted? Do I seem to be denying the existence of difficult childhoods, prejudice, or people who are insensitive to the needs of others? Well, that is certainly not my intention, nor is it my belief. I'm saying that regardless of the presence of those negative influences in your life, the best thing you can do, the most empowering thing, The strongest thing, and ultimately the wisest thing, is to accept responsibility for your own destiny, plain and simple. The benefits of this approach to life have been proven in some pretty dramatic ways. People who have been afflicted by serious illness, for example, appear to have a better chance of recovery if they decide to take responsibility for what has happened to them, despite the fact that it would be easier, and perhaps even more reasonable, to simply see themselves as victims of fate. Sooner or later, all of us face situations in which we must decide whether to accept responsibility for a problem or look for ways to avoid responsibility. Assuming that you have, in fact, done something that has caused a problem of some kind, let's look at the various options and decisions that are now open to you. Courage is at the heart of real achievement. A truly courageous person isn't someone who never feels fear, but someone who fears the right thing at the right time in the right way. It takes courage to accept responsibility for your own future and not to feel helpless in the face of challenges. Many fears stem from a fear of helplessness, but you're never truly helpless. You always have options to get back on track. Courage means facing obstacles head-on and making the most of every moment. In the past, honesty and integrity were highly valued. Today, however, lying and dishonesty are more common and accepted. People often avoid the discomfort of paying for things up front, opting instead to delay payments or make minimum credit card payments. This avoidance of discomfort leads to a lack of personal responsibility. Overall, building character and courage means taking responsibility for your actions and choices, even when it's uncomfortable or challenging. It's about being true to yourself and facing life with integrity and honesty. Key phrase, self-motivation. I don't know why we call it self-motivation. It's really the only kind there is. You've got to motivate yourself because I found out you can't change people. They can change themselves, but you can't change them. Lord knows, some I've tried. But see, it won't work. People have to change themselves. I learned some of those lessons early. I built a little sales organization way back in those early days. I'm 25, and I had some nice people. I said, I'm going to make these people successful if it kills me. I almost died. I mean, you can't do that. See, I've discovered this. Good people are not trained, they're found. You find good people, you don't make them good. Training really is for the purpose of finding good people. You don't need much instruction for a good person, but too much training probably means you got the wrong peep. So you got to find the right people. That's the key to getting a good job done. One of the major things we learn in management lesson 1, don't send your ducks to Eagle School, because it won't help. I mean, I'm telling you, it won't help. No matter how good your school is, and the little eagle badge and little eagle hat, I'm telling you, it won't help. It won't help. You can tell whether your school has done any good, right? When it's over, right? The duck goes for his first rabbit and makes him a friend. You say no, 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 no anyway. So, it takes self-motivation to really alter your life. And you don't want to give self-motivation away to somebody else and make it somebody else motivating you. The guy says, boy, if somebody just come by and turn me on, what if they don't show up, right? See, you've got to have a better plan for your life. So walk away from the 97%. Don't use their vocabulary, don't use their excuses, don't use their method of drift and neglect. Won't even walk around the block for their health, won't even eat an apple a day, won't even take the time to refine their philosophy for a better life. Walk away and join the 3%. Did you know that only about 5% of people in America retire with enough money from their own savings? That's right, just 5%. The other 95% end up depending on the government or some company to take care of them in their old age. But it doesn't have to be that way for you. You can take control of your retirement and your life. That's what I've been talking about all morning. It's time to break away from the crowd, from the 90%, the 97%, the 95%. Don't follow their lead. Don't talk like them. Don't think like them. Be different. Be part of the few who decide to take charge of their own destiny. I remember when I first heard about a book called The Richest Man in Babylon. I didn't waste any time. I went out and got it right away. Some might say I'm different for doing that, but I believe in taking action when I see an opportunity to improve my life. And that's what I'm inviting you to do. Start with small changes, like eating an apple a day or reading a new book. Build good habits.
da